Hey everyone, it's Kristen. So today we're going to be talking about this Dazzler 31. And this, like I mentioned before, I really like the covers of this Dazzler series. They're so different than the norm, and I think that's what makes them so great, really. Then this issue kind of reminded me of an episode of Hollywood Jim, where Kimber reconnects with Jeff, and he's now a stunt person, a stunt man. So that's kind of what it makes me think of, because the guy in this issue is a stunt man. So the director and the producer, I'm assuming that's who these two guys are talking about the stunt that Bill Remington, the stunt person, is gonna do, and they're like, I hope he gets this in one take. And the director says, yeah, because it's gonna rain. And the producer's like, yeah, because each take cost us like $800,000, which in today's money, that's like $8.6 million. So, you can understand why movies are so expensive. Yeah. And it's crazy that movies have to make I think I've heard like three times of what it costs to make them in order to make a profit or something. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how sound that math is or what the exact formula is, but I think that's what I remember. Of course, they have the actual budget that it took to make the movie, and then they have marketing cost and stuff too. So, like I said, I think I remember hearing that it's like three times as much. So anyway, Allison happens to be there because Harry got her on the set to watch the filming of the movie. Like she's not in the movie or anything, but she's just watching. And she happens to be standing next to Bill Remington, the stunt man's mom. And she's like, "Oh, here, borrow my binoculars so you can see Bill do this stunt, even better." Bill's in the tan shirt, standing on the train, and then, pushing that guy off, and then pushing him out of the car, and then jumping off the cliff in the car still, as the, car or train, whatever, blows up. And Allison's like, "Oh no, oh my gosh." And the mom's like, "Oh, he's fine. He'll be fine." And there he is. They find him, and he's like, "Oh, I missed the net a little." So he's a little bit beat up, but he's okay. And Bill's mom is like, "Oh, Bill, I want you to meet Allison." Well, actually, she calls her Alicia. And she's like, Allison, or Allie if you prefer. And he's like, I like, or Allie if you like. He's like, I like. And so he basically is like, Bill, nice to meet you. Will you marry me? And Allison's like, I am busy this afternoon. I have plans. Because of course that's coming on pretty strong. Um, I don't know if that line has ever worked for a guy. Oh, goodness. Anyway, he gives her, he says, "Well, can I buy you a drink, dinner, an Italian sports car?" And she's like, please no Italian sports cars. Maybe dinner." And he's like, "Okay, well, here's my card, give me a call, if you want to do dinner, which I hope you do." And the mom's like, "What's the matter? Are you not sure?" I know he comes off kind of strong sometimes, and a Dazzler's like, "No, it's not that. It's just that I just moved to LA. I want to get settled kind of first, and, you know, don't want to really get involved before I get set with anything before I get settled, and, need to find a job, all that." And she said, "And speaking of that, like, I am supposed to go look at an apartment right now, so I gotta take off. It was, nice to meet you." And there's the people that she's renting this apartment from. And Allison says, "I kind of need to warn you, I'm in show business." And they're like, "Oh, that's okay. It's fine." Because, of course, they're in LA. So they're probably used to showbiz people renting from them. Um, and they say the only person we won't rent to is mutants. And then they go proceed to talk about the convention center being wrecked by a mutant monster. That's was last issue when she went to the comic book convention. Sorry, my I just noticed my earring was kind of coming out. Um, yeah, so they're like, "Oh, you'll be fine. You'll do it well enough to make the rent, I'm sure." And so Dazzler's like, "Okay, well, now I know I have to be careful around them." She looks through the want ads to see what kind of job she can find, and there's a one for a dance exercise teacher, and it says flexible hours. So basically, kind of an aerobics instructor. And so she's kind of auditioning for the job, and she's like, I have taken dance, as long as I can remember. I've even invented my own aerobic moves and all this stuff. And the manager's like, okay, fine, you're hired. And she runs into Bill, and she's like, Bill, what are you doing here? Kind of like, are you stalking me? Are you following me? And he's like, this is my gym. This is where I work out. I work out like 4 times a week because, I have to stay in shape because you know, I'm a stunt person. And she's like, oh, okay. And he asked her out again, and she's like, again, no thanks. I mean, kind of no thanks. So I'll think about it. So when she gets back to her apartment, she calls Harry and asks her manager, Harry Osgood, if he has any work for her. And he's like, Allison, I hate to do this, but I can't be your manager anymore. And she doesn't understand. She's says, what? But why? Why? Like, I don't understand. And he said, you're in LA now. I'm in New York. Like, I can't really help you very much from New York. You need someone in LA to be your manager. As much as this pains me, I just want what's best for you. I think of you like, like a daughter. And of course, they've been through a lot because she saved his life twice. And he knows that she's immune. So Allison's pretty upset. And Harry's upset because Cassie, his secretary, is like, I need you to sign these papers. And he's like, not today. I'm too upset. I'm going home. And Cassie's like, well, good riddance. He should have gotten rid of her a long time ago. And Lance calls her a selfish, cold, insensitive, selfish witch. Which, yeah, she's never liked Allison. I don't know why though, but she just never has. And she's always, making snide remarks about her and being mean, basically. So anyway, Allison's upset. She doesn't, you know, upset that Harry said he can't be her manager anymore. She hears a knock on the door, and there's roses there, and they're from Bill. Apparently, someone gave him her address, which that was me. I don't think I'd want people to from work to give out my address to strangers, like people that I don't know, that they don't know that I know. That, you know what I mean? Especially in today's world, you can never be too careful. Um, anyway, so she goes back to work and he's there again and he asks her out again or tries to. He's like, "Hey, how about this line? Hey, baby, what's your sign?" I don't think that line ever works either. And then he's like, "How about this one? Let me buy you a drink or else I'll hold my breath till I turn blue." That doesn't work either. And Allison though finally relents and says, "Okay." And he's like, "Well, how about this one?" And she says, "Bill, I said okay." So they go to dinner, they have a good time. Um, they talk about how, he's more of a live in the moment, fly by the seat of your pants kind of guy. Um, you know, even if his life is a short one, he wants to live it to the fullest, that sort of thing. And then the next day, they're back on set. She's there to watch him perform another stunt. Apparently, he's supposed to brake slide, drop the bike, run into the burning barn, and then as the fire like engulfs it completely, run out the back. But what happens is it's raining again. Um, and he said to himself, the fire's pretty high already. They must have added more fuel because of the rain. I better hurry. So he skids, he slides because the ground's wet, it's raining, and messes up the stunt. So instead of going off his bike, like jumping off his bike and running into the barn. He goes crashing into the barn. And everyone's in a panic, like, oh my gosh, you better, we have to put the out the fire. We have to pull him out of there. His, suit is flame retardant, but it won't save him. And of course, Allison's very worried. And he comes out and he's like, I'm okay. And she's like, oh my gosh, you almost died. And he's like, I'm fine. And no sweat, all in a day's work. And he's like, how about dinner? And she's like, how can you think of food at a time like this? And he's like, well, just made me think, like something made me think of cooking. Haha, like the flames. Anyway, Dazzler says, okay, let's play it safe. Let's just go to my place. So they go to her house or her apartment. And Dazzler looks really cute here. She kind of looks like a Barbie here with the flower in her hair and stuff. I mean, I think she looks cute. Like every time I put a flower in my hair, it just looks dumb, so I don't. But she looks cute. Of course, she can wear anything. Um, so he comes in, he's like, "It isn't it dark in here?" And she's like, "Oh, I didn't notice," because of course she's used to, you know, using her powers and all that stuff instead of actual lights. I guess to save on electricity. But of course, then she has to turn the stereo on. But I'm guessing the stereo uses less power than all the lights. I don't know. Anyway, so she's like, "Oh, I didn't notice. I have really good eyesight. I eat a lot of carrots." Oh, that's funny. And so as they're sitting down, he says, "A toast. Remember the alimony, Alamo, not alimony, Alamo." And she's like, you are weird." So it's always, like I said, it's always fun when Texas is mentioned either in comic books or movies or something, especially when it comes to superhero, because the only major event that's happened here in Texas is the Fall of the Mutant story, the X-Men story, which I did I a video I did videos on already, but so yeah, it's just cool when it gets mentioned. I mean, it's not, it's well, of course, February to March, there was a 13-day siege. Santa Anna's forces had surrounded the Alamo and were, you know, basically holding them in there. And they were trying to, of course, hold out, but that's the whole point. They weren't able to. And so, like Davy Crockett, Jim Bowie, they died there. Um, yeah, and so that was the battle cry in April when the Sam Houston's army faced, Santa Anna's forces again at San Jacinta, and they said, remember the Alamo, and that, because was the rallying cry that led to Texas independence. So anyway, and I've actually been to the Alamo, and it's really cool. Like I went when I was a little kid, and back then you could actually go everywhere in the Alamo, and you could even go to the top part. So me and my brother and my sister, we like explored the whole thing. Well, everything that they let us explore, which is almost pretty much all of it. We even went to the top part, and it was really cool. It was really fun to like look out and see that view. I went a couple years ago, and yeah, they have everything kind of roped off. You can only go on this specific path. And I think they're worried about it deteriorating. So they don't want you to touch anything. They just want you to like stay on this little path, and you don't get to go up top anymore. But it was still really cool. It's still really cool, really cool landmark that Texas has. Because of course, our country being young-ish, we don't have a lot of landmarks like that per se, especially not, well, on the East Coast, there's way more buildings that are older, but, you know, in this part on, there's not as many. So it's still pretty cool that, we have that and we got to see it. So anyway, he's saying that you're a good cook. Where have you been all my life? And she's like, where do you want me to start? At birth? Like joking. And so they're just talking, and he's like, Um, he's like, no more talking. How about some body language? Which you know what that means. He's like, let's make out and stuff. And he's not. Anyway, she's like, I just want to talk a little bit more because, this is like not their first date, but still relatively new. They haven't kissed yet, so, you know. And he's like, you know what? Whatever, forget it. And he starts to leave, and she's like, what did I do wrong? What's going on? She's like, I really do like you. I am attracted to you, but I just want to talk for a little bit, a little while. And he's like, okay, do you want to take a walk? And she's like, it's raining outside. He's like, well, do you want to take a drive? Let's take my car. She's like, well, that's good because all I have are roller skates. And I mean, I just, this situation's pretty common. That the guy is ready to take the relationship to the next step, and the girl's not quite there yet, or she just wants to get it to know him a little bit more, decide if, yeah, this is what she really wants. And then the guy gets all mad. I've had this happen to me before. I mean, you know, I get it. Guys are more physical than girls for the most part. But I mean, still, I want to get to know a guy a little bit more. So, anyway, well, and this happens on the first date too. Like, guys expect one thing, and you're like, it's the first date. Like, I don't even know you yet. So that's what sucks about today's dating culture, I will say. Anyway, moving on. I shared way too much information. Let's just pretend I didn't do that. So they go outside, they're driving the wrong way, and they're like, what's everyone doing? Where's everyone going? And someone says an earthquake hit Hawaii, and so there's a tsunami headed this way. And Bill doesn't even know what a tsunami is. And he's like, what's that? And so, it's a huge, basically, wave wall of water, hence the front and the title, that's going to hit, the coast. And so they're evacuating everyone. And they're like, pretty much any houses that are there are going to be wiped away too. And he's like, oh my gosh, I have to go check on my house. And Allison's like, well, he says, if you want, you can, not come. You can catch a ride with one of them. Yeah, get in a car with a stranger. Of course, now we do that, through Uber and stuff, but I feel like, anyway, uh, all these things, don't talk to strangers, which we talk to strangers every day on the internet. Don't get in a car with strangers. We use Uber and stuff. So just different culture, different time. Anyway, so he's like, I have to go check on my house. And she's like, let me go with you. And he's like, you should just, no. She's like, yeah, I want to come with you. So they go to his house. It is literally like right on the beach, kind of on a cliff. But the inside is really beautiful. And he talks about how this house means a lot to him because growing up, he was super poor. His dad tried to make a living, but every time he tried, like life just kicked him down again. Like, his businesses would fail. Um, his job, the factory would shut down and he would get fired, laid off. And so just everything that happened, he you know, just couldn't get above water, basically. So he said, and then one night his dad was so just done with everything that he drank himself to death. And as soon as Bill was able to, he started doing stunts, just trying to make money and make a living. And so eventually he started doing more and more stunts and was good. And he was able to buy his mom a house, a nice place in town, and he bought this house for himself. Like he designed it and built it right here, like on the edge, just because like he feels like, that's his kind of I guess, personality. And so Allison's like, "Do you want me to help you gather up some things?" And he's like, "No, I'm not leaving." And she's like, "Are you kidding me? We need to go. There's, the tsunami is coming. It's gonna like wipe this place out." And he's like, we have to leave." And he's like, "You can leave if you want to." And he's like, "I just can't go. You don't understand what it's like to have nothing. I don't want to go back to that." And she's like, "I understand what it's like to lose everything, Bill. I really do. But," and he's like, "I know you do. You're wonderful. That's why I've dreamed of making love to you." I mean, goodness gracious. They move fast. And then yeah. And Allison's like, "Oh, no, this is crazy. We have to go." And she's like, "I don't want to die. So I guess I'm leaving. And if you want to stay here, you can." So she goes out the door and she's like, "This is crazy. Like, I can't just leave him." So she goes back and she's like, "I will drag him out of there if I have to." But she's like, she's like, "It's too late. The wave is coming." She's like, "Well, I'm not going to just let myself die like Bill. I'm going to fight." And so you see her, there's this huge wall of water. There's the house, there's her, and she's trying to like push it back with her powers. She's using the roar of the wave in the water to activate her powers and push it back. And so she is able to like dissipate the water, turn it into just mist, vapors. But of course, I mean, look at this and look at her powers. Like, it's huge. There's no way that she can actually, you know, get rid of the whole wave. And eventually, her body just gives out because it's too strenuous on her. And Bill sees her. He's like, "I looked everywhere for her and I can't find her. I looked in the house, she's not there." And he sees her lying on the beach. And he goes over to her and she's barely, like, she's not conscious. She's barely breathing, or not breathing, barely has a pulse. And so he does start CPR on her and she, wakes up and she's in shock though. So he takes her inside the house and, she's okay. But he said, "This all has made me realize that I have been trying to self-sabotage. Like, I destroy everything that ever, everything good that comes into my life, I try to destroy it. Like drinking too much, doing my best to alienate her earlier, even choosing to build this house right here in this location, and all the stunts I've been doing. I just, you know, and he's like, I need to fix myself. Like, I realize that now that I have been causing my own destruction." So he said, "If I ever get my life back on track, you'll be hearing from me." And so they kiss, part ways, and basically we never hear from him again. Because that's how this goes. There's a lot of characters in Dazzler that only show up in Dazzler, the one time, or maybe twice. It just depends. So the next issue says, "The biggest, wildest all-girl barroom brawl you've ever seen. Wear your helmets, we warned you." That's what it says for next issue. Oh, look how fun this is. Christmas with the Inhumans. Oh, that's fun. I love Christmas. Especially since it's, oh look, holiday gift coupon, only 42 cents a copy. Because this is only 60 cents. So you save even more when you get a subscription. That's why I subscribe, because you get a better deal. Although the comics are late. Although this month, this what I got my comic a day early, which has only happened one other time since I started this subscription. So in 20 issues, I've gotten it early, as in the day before. twice, and most of it has been like super late, like a month, maybe 5 weeks, 6 weeks, late. So yeah, I was super surprised and super stoked to get it actually early this month. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you join me for the next video. Until next time, bye.